While prescription drug abuse is common here in the United States, other places like Europe, Southern Africa, and South Asia are also seeing a rise. I talked about the problem with Dr. David Gastfriend, CEO of the Treatment Research Institute.
These opiate addictive painkillers are very problematic. They get you coming and going. They produce not just relief of pain, but in higher doses, a euphoria, a high. Coming down, they produce a withdrawal, which is uncomfortable, painful even, and depressing. And so they can get people who don't have any underlying other problems, just the medicines alone can produce an addiction.
David, frame it for us, because you and I had a chance to talk before we actually got going here in this interview about how this compares with car accidents. Go back over that for us.
Yeah, in the United States today, we're having more deaths due to opiate overdoses. This is prescription medicine prescribed by doctors. More deaths from that than from car accidents today. That's an astounding situation. It's an epidemic.
Addictive drugs have been used for centuries. Put together a little list here. Germany began manufacturing morphine in 1827. It was widely used during the American Civil War. Used more sparingly now for more severe cases. In 1898, the German company Bayer began making heroin. Despite being extremely addictive, it was actually used to treat morphine addiction. Cocaine was also used until 1920 when doctors began prescribing methamphetamine. It was used for things like asthma. Now today, opioids are being used. So here's the question. When we look back on today, in let's say a couple of decades from now, will we wonder why were opioids being used so widely?
I think decades from now, we'll look back on this period and realize the folly of a medical profession getting to the point where they thought doctors should eliminate pain. Pain is the body's natural signal to the brain to take care of itself, and it shouldn't be eliminated. The strategy should be to reduce pain sufficiently so that the individual can function and take care of themselves so that healing can continue. But when we eliminate pain, when doctors overprescribe or prescribe too many days of medication so that they don't have to get a phone call from the patient asking for a refill, that has the effect of putting too many pills into the hands of the patient, their family, young people who visit the family home, and we get distribution, diversion, and addiction.
Some years ago, David, I was interviewing actually a man from Philadelphia who was a drug addict in a clinic trying to kick the habit. And I think people just kind of have this general view of what a drug addict looked like, but he looked like you or I. I mean, this was a business guy who got prescription drugs and then suddenly was addicted to it, was stealing stuff so he could get the drugs. Talk to me about the wrecked lives that are out there because of the same issue.
Yeah, it's not the old heroin junkie epidemic of the 1930s or the 1970s. Today what we have is working people, professional people, family people, young college students who are getting dependent on prescriptions that come legitimately from a physician or a dentist frequently. And once they're hooked on these meds, they're taking increasing doses, they get tolerant to it, so they need higher doses to avoid the withdrawal. When a doctor decides, well, this seems to be too much and decides to cut off the patient, then they're turning to street heroin. And that is producing a whole new culture of people that we never saw with this addiction before. In fact, 4 times as many people with opiate addiction today started on pills than started on heroin.
Dr. David Gastfriend, thanks so much for talking to us. Certainly appreciate it.